Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm really loving this setup. I did purposely put some plants on this table, have my matcha right here. This one, honestly, I'm pretty proud of it. The color is so good. We can do a little taste test before we start this video. Yeah, that hits. So for today's video, I decided I wanted to do a little book haul for you guys. These are the last 10 books I've purchased and not read yet. So I'm just going to be reading the synopsis with you guys, kind of going over what I'm excited about, why I purchased them, all of that stuff. There is a variety of genres. I have romance, thriller, I believe nonfiction, horror. I do have a little spread of everything. So I really hope you guys enjoy. And I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty long video. So go grab yourself a snack. Do not forget to subscribe and let's get into it. So this is my stack of books that we have here. You can see the covers are all pretty different. I mean, I would say most of them are pretty colorful, which is very on trend for this summer. And a few of these books, like I said, are romance, which I kind of wanted to start reading in the summer because I feel like summer is such a lovey-dovey season for a lot of people. I personally think so. So I'm going to start off with the romance books that I picked up. Again, I'm very excited to read these. Once I'm done reading my current read, which is The Woman in the Window, first of all, amazing book. But once I'm done reading that, I'm going to go over and start reading some romance. So I have 4 romance books here for you to talk about. First one I'm going to start with is definitely a little more saucy, and it's a romance but also kind of like a drama book. It is based off of 50 Shades of Grey. So this one is called Darker by E.L. James, and this is basically in the perspective of Christian Grey rather than Anna or Anne. I forget what her name is. I think it's Anna. But yeah, so this is definitely going to be very saucy, and it's basically the 3rd movie of 50 Shades of Grey. I think it's 50 Shades Darker, but in Christian's view, or his like standpoint, his thoughts, how he's feeling throughout it all. I just thought it'd be really interesting. So I'm really interested to read this book. I have seen all the movies. I have not read all the books, but I figured because I've already watched the movie, I don't need to read all 3. I'm pretty sure there are 3 separate books based on the 3 separate movies with his thoughts, but I just chose the last one because I know what's going on. So yeah, this one is just darker in Christian Grey's view. Very excited about it. It basically says on the back, their scorching sensual affair ended in heartbreak and recriminalization, but Christian Grey cannot get Anastasia Steele out of his mind or his blood. Determined to win her back, he tries to suppress his darkest desires and his need for complete control and to love Anna on her own terms. But the horrors of his childhood still haunt him, and Anna's scheming boss, Jack Hyde, clearly wants her for himself. Can Christian's confidant and therapist, Dr. Flynn, help him face down his demons, or will the possessiveness of Alina, his seducer, and the deranged devotion of Lila, his former submissive, drag Christian down into the past? And if Christian does win Anna back, can a man so dark and damaged ever hope to keep her? Really interested. First romance. Very excited to read it. So these ones are more classic romance novels. The first one being The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory, I believe it's pronounced. This is what the looks like. It's definitely a smaller book, but the pages themselves, I believe there are a little over 300 pages, so it's just a normal book, just a little bit smaller in size. So I don't know why this one just kind of popped out to me, probably just because I like the color red, honestly. But also on the front it says, love wasn't part of the deal. And there's not really any context when you read that, and I just thought it was really interesting, and I was like, well, it's called The Wedding Date, so how is love not a part of the deal? I don't know. I want to know the background, which means I need to read the book. The back of this book says, I vow to take thee as my date, to pretend to have and to hold, from rehearsal dinner to reception, till Sunday do us part. Agreeing to go to a wedding with a guy she gets stuck with in an elevator is something Alexa Monroe wouldn't normally do. She's definitely not the spontaneous type, but there's something about Drew Nichols that's too hard to resist. Drew has never found it hard to meet women or to know just when to leave them, but now, on the eve of his ex's wedding festivities, he's minus a +1, until a power outage strands him with the perfect candidate for a fake girlfriend. When the best man's toast to the bouquet toss, Alexa and Drew have more fun than they ever thought possible. But before they know it, Drew has to fly back to Los Angeles, and his job as a pediatric surgeon, and Alexa heads home to Berkeley, where she's the mayor's chief of staff, and neither of them can stop thinking about the other. They're just two high-powered professionals on a collision course toward the long-distance dating disaster of the century, or closing the gap between what they think they need and what they truly want. So I really like that this book kind of focuses on two people who have very Caribbean-driven lives. Very Caribbean-driven. A great time together, and then I think both of them are just going to end up wanting each other in the end. That's kind of what it seems like. But yeah, very excited to read The Wedding Date. I'll let you know how it is. Next romance book I have here is called The Arrangement by Sarah Dunn. So I loved, first of all, such a random cover in my opinion, but I loved it. I love this color yellow, and at the top it says, "An open marriage, just for 6 months. What could possibly go wrong?" This part definitely intrigued me. Open marriages have always intrigued me. I don't think I could ever do it, but I've seen others do it, and once again, I just think it's super interesting. Then it says for 6 months, and I'm like, okay, what does that mean? So the back says, Lucy and Owen have taken the plunge, trading in their life in a cramped Manhattan apartment for the bucolic Hudson Valley hamlet. They've got a 200-year-old house, an autistic son obsessed with Titanic, and 17 chickens at last count. It's the kind of paradise where stay-at-home moms team up to cook the school's hot lunch and dads grill grass-fed burgers. One July evening at a wine-soaked dinner party, friends reveal party plans to make their marriage open. Insensible Lucy balks. There's a part of her, though, that's intrigued. Why not try a short marital experiment? 6 months, clear ground rules, 0 questions asked. But when an affair with a man in the city begins to seem more enticing than the happily ever after she's known for the past 9 years, Lucy must decide what truly makes her happy, real life or the arrangement. I think this is going to be a super intriguing book, very, maybe, scandalous, who knows, but once again, yes, very excited. And lastly, for romance, I have a very popular book. It's been all over TikTok, all over Bookstagram. My friend has recommended it to me. She can't say anything but good things about it, and it is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. So I have seen this in Walmart a bunch, and I decided when I saw it at my work that I would pick it up. This one here is kind of the same idea as like the career-driven, however they kind of go from enemies to lovers, it seems like. It says, Lucy Hutton and Joshua Templeman hate each other. Not dislike, not begrudgingly tolerate, hate. And they have no problems displaying their feelings through a series of ritualistic, passive-aggressive maneuvers as they sit across from each other, executive assistants to co-CEOs of a publishing company. Lucy can't understand Joshua's joyless, uptight, meticulous approach to his job. Joshua is clearly baffled by Lucy's overly bright colors, quirkiness, and Pollyanna attitude. Now that they're up for the same promotion, their battle of wills has come to a head, and Lucy refuses to back down when their latest game could cost her her dream job. But the tension between Lucy and Joshua has also reached its boiling point, and Lucy is discovering that maybe she doesn't hate Joshua, and maybe he doesn't hate her either, or maybe this is just another game. Yeah, definitely more of an enemies to lover book, but again, I've heard such good things. I think it's going to be a classic romance. This is probably going to be the first one that I end up reading out of all the romances just because I'm so excited. But yeah, this one here is about, yeah, again, like about 400 pages, not even, so it shouldn't be too bad. Very excited to start reading more romance because, as a lot of you might know, I tend to shift and read more thriller novels, crime, mystery, just because they've always intrigued me. But now that I'm actually reading more often, I think I'm going to try out some romance. Moving on, I have one nonfiction book here, and this one is definitely going to be a little controversial. I picked it up at my work just thinking it would be a really great read for after the pandemic is over. This one is called COVID-19, The Pandemic That Never Should Have Happened and How to Stop the Next One by Deborah Mackenzie. So this one here, super simple, front page. It's definitely more on a scientific realm, like I said, nonfiction rather than a story. The back says, when the virus does grind to a halt or we tame it with vaccines, it seems all too likely that we will all drift back into a status quo of spending on wars and weapons, Olympics and tax cuts, not on preparing for the next virus. We will need to forget this nightmare and to judge the past pandemics. Yet at this moment, the subject has our undivided attention. We can already say how this happened and why, and what our options are to start doing better. Many scientists know this, and governments, we hope, will learn. But you need to know this too, whatever you do in life, in the kind of detail that will allow you to help make the changes we need. Yeah, basically it's just going to talk about the scientific view of COVID-19, how it all started, and what we as citizens of this world can do to kind of help mitigate it from happening again. Because I don't think we really want to go through wearing masks again and doing all this. I know that the vaccines have been, doing really well. I can almost get my second vaccine, which means I would be fully vaccinated. But that doesn't mean once COVID is over, we just live and forget. We need to kind of take responsibility for what happened and try and do our part to ensure that it doesn't happen again. Next up, we have some thrillers. So 2 of these, interestingly enough, I actually got at free libraries where I gave them old books that I had already read, and they just kind of looked interesting. I didn't really know what they were about. One of them even came with this cute little bookmark. I thought that that was really, really cute of them to incorporate in their little free library. You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Look at the Flora. You want to say hi? So we'll start with the 2 that I got at the free little library. First one being The Girls Are All So Nice Here. I've never seen this book online. I've never seen it in any store. I don't even know what year it's from, but it doesn't look that old. This is literally a brand new book by Lori Elizabeth Flynn. Came out in 2021. So, brand new book. If you're interested at all after I read the synopsis, definitely go check it out. So it says, best friends never forget. A lot has changed in the years since Ambrosia Wellington graduated from college, and she's worked hard to create a new life for herself. But then an invitation to her 10-year reunion arrives in the mail, along with an anonymous note that says, we need to talk about what we did that night. It seems the secrets of Ambrosia's past and the people she thought she'd left there aren't as buried as she imagined. Amb can't stop fixating on what she did and who she did it with. Larger-than-life Sloane, Sully Sullivan, Amb's former best friend, who could make anyone do anything. At the reunion, Amb and Sully receive increasingly menacing messages, and it's become clear that they're being pursued by someone who wants more than just the truth of what happened that first semester. This person wants revenge for what Amb and Sully did and the damage they caused. So there's a little bit more written there, but basically, like I said, it's like a 10-year reunion of people who went to school together, and it's kind of like a Pretty Little Liars thing, They're getting texts kind of menacing and alarming of what they did. I don't know what they did. I have to read the book, but it actually sounded really interesting. So that's why I picked it up from the little library. I just thought it'd be worth the read. And the next one that I got from a free little library is called Keep Her Safe by Sophie Hannah. So this is what it looks like. Again, I have no idea what this one is about, but on the front it says, she's the most famous murder victim in America. What if she's not dead? And then it says at the back, pushed to the breaking point, Kara Burrows flees her home and family and escapes to a 5-star spa resort she can't afford. Late at night, exhausted and desperate, she lets herself into her hotel room and is shocked to find it already occupied by a man and a teenage girl. A simple mistake at the front desk, but soon Kara realizes that the girl she saw alive and well in the hotel room is someone she couldn't possibly have seen, the most famous murder victim in history, Melody Chapa, whose parents are serving natural life sentences for her murder. Kara doesn't know what to trust. Everything she's read and heard about the case or the evidence she saw with her own eyes. Did she really see Melody? And is she prepared to ask herself that question and answer it honestly, even if it means risking her own life? It's definitely a suspense novel. I actually think that's really interesting, the fact that she sees a murder victim in a hotel room with an older man, and she's supposed to be dead, but she might not be dead, and then she kind of has to go through this psychological trauma of figuring out what to do in the situation if she wants to put her life behind other people who are currently sentenced in prison when they're innocent. I think that's really interesting. So once again, Keep Her Safe. Very excited to read it. Next up are 2 that I did purposely choose. So first one being You'll Thank Me for This by Nina Sagal. So this one is pretty messed up, I will say. But I don't know if this is just me or if anyone else is like this. Forests are terrifying. I love going on hikes throughout the day, and I love camping. I love all that stuff. But to walk in a dark forest with no trails, or even trails, in the middle of the night, that's kind of scary. So this book here, if I open it up, it says, a pulse-pounding psychological thriller based on the popular Dutch tradition of blindfolding and dropping teens and pre-teens in the middle of a forest, and what happens when it goes horribly wrong. So this is, like, already that just seems super twisted to me, which is an interesting idea for a book. It says, 12-year-old Karen is blindfolded and dropped into the Hoge Veluwe, I don't know how to pronounce it, Hoge Veluwe National Forest with 3 other children. But with nothing but a few basic supplies and emergency food, the children are tasked with working together to navigate one of the Netherlands' most beautiful and wild locations and return to where their families are anxiously waiting. Karen quickly finds herself at odds with 2 of the older teens and suddenly looks up to see that all 3 have vanished. As Karen struggles against the elements to find her way, she soon realizes that something far more sinister lurks in the woods. Grace, Karen's mother and an American with a Dutch husband, has been nervous about dropping from the start. At first she tells herself the experience is good for her daughter. But as the hours begin to tick by and the children fail to arrive at the designated campsite, she becomes certain something has gone horribly wrong. As Karen fights for survival and Grace rushes to find her daughter, the night culminates in the revelation of a deadly secret and a shocking confrontation that will push each of them to the edge. So if that's not a suspense novel, I really don't know what else is. Like, this is gonna be a really good book. I already have a feeling. Yeah, and it's actually not too long of a book. This one here, 245 pages. So super easy read. Maybe I'll start reading it like near October, around Halloween. This one here I put under suspense. It's not necessarily a thriller, like scary book, but it's just suspenseful. And this one here is by the popular artist who wrote, why did I say artist? Author. They are an artist though. The popular author, Celeste Ning, she wrote what is it called? Little Fires Everywhere. Yeah, and I own that book. Why am I saying I don't know? It's Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ning. So this one here is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ning. It is a young adult book. It's YA. And it says here, Lydia is dead, but they don't know this yet. So begins this exquisite novel about a Chinese-American family living in the 1970s small-town Ohio. Lydia is the favorite child of Marilyn and James Lee, and her parents are determined that she will fulfill the dreams they were unable to pursue. But when Lydia's body is found in the local lake, the delicate balancing act that has been keeping the Lee family together is destroyed, tumbling them into chaos. A profoundly moving story of family, secrets, and longing, Everything I Never Told You is both a gripping page-turner and a sensitive family portrait, uncovering the ways in which mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, and husbands and wives struggle all their lives to understand one another. So it says it's wonderfully moving and a beautifully crafted study of dysfunction and grief. I think that it's definitely labeled more just general fiction, but it does have that suspense aspect in it, and I think understanding the struggle within family dynamics is going to be really interesting in this book. I haven't heard nothing but good things. So this is the last kind of like thriller suspense novel. And lastly, guys, I'm really excited to share this because I saw it at my work. It just came out like a few months ago and I was not expecting it to come at my work. It's a horror novel. I do have a few of Stephen King's novels already. I haven't actually been able to read any yet, but I am so excited to read this one. This is If It Bleeds by Stephen King. Can we just take a look at this? Like, that is so beautiful. Oh my god. And if you can't notice, the nose of that cat is like a little mouse. I'm just obsessed with this cover. I think that it's really nice. So as we all know, Stephen King is known for his horrific novels. Very thrilling, very gory on occasion. And this one here, it's based on 2021. So it says, in January of 2021, a small padded envelope addressed to Detective Ralph Anderson is delivered to the Conrads, the Andersons' next door neighbors. The Anderson family is on an extended vacation in the Bahamas. Printed on this envelope in large letters is, "Do not forward hold for arrival." When Ralph opens the package, he finds a flash drive titled If It Bleeds, presumably referring to the old news trope which proclaims, if it bleeds, it leads. The drive holds a kind of report or spoken word diary from Holly Gibney, with whom the detective shared a case that began in Oklahoma and ended in a Texas cave. It was a case that changed Ralph Anderson's perception of reality forever. The final words of Holly's audio report are from an entry dated December 19th, 2020. She sounds out of breath. I have done the best I can, Ralph, but it may not be enough. In spite of all my planning, there's a chance I won't come out of this alive. If I do die and you choose to continue what I've started, please be careful. You have a wife and son. It seems as if his ex-co-detective got herself into trouble. She may not survive, and he may have to take over the case that she has been working so hard on, but he has to really choose between family and his job, and I'm assuming whatever there is to come is going to be super scary. So I'm really excited about this book. I have heard mixed reviews, but I'm judging this book by its cover, and I like it. So those are all of the books I've picked up recently that I have not read yet, but I look forward to. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do want to see more book hauls / book reviews, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Do not forget to subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.